When we observe elders who maintain strength and balance well into their later decades, science invites us to look beyond muscle size and toward the deeper systems that quietly govern movement. The simple act of standing up and sitting down, repeated many times throughout the day, may appear insignificant, yet it engages one of the most complex coordination patterns the human body performs. This movement recruits large muscle groups in the legs and hips while simultaneously demanding precise input from the nervous system to stabilize the body against gravity. Research shows that these transitions preserve fast-twitch muscle fibers, which are often the first to decline with age and are critical for preventing falls. Rather than isolating muscles in artificial environments, the body learns strength in context, exactly as it will be needed in daily life. What makes this movement especially powerful is its relationship with balance. Each rise and descent challenges the vestibular system in the inner ear, the visual system, and the proprioceptive sensors embedded in joints and connective tissue. These systems must communicate efficiently to maintain orientation in space, and repetition keeps these neural pathways active. When elders stop performing these transitions, the brain begins to lose confidence in the body, increasing stiffness and fear, which further accelerates decline. By contrast, frequent floor or low seat transitions teach the nervous system that stability is still possible, reinforcing trust between brain and body. Joint health also benefits from this rhythm of movement. Cartilage has no direct blood supply, so it depends on motion to receive nutrients through the circulation of synovial fluid. Gentle loading and unloading during standing and sitting nourishes joints without overstressing them. This explains why consistent, low-level movement often reduces stiffness more effectively than rest. The biological message is subtle but clear. Joints are designed to move, not to be preserved through avoidance. There is also a metabolic dimension. Each transition briefly elevates heart rate and increases glucose uptake by muscle cells, improving insulin sensitivity over time. This effect accumulates quietly across the day, supporting energy regulation without exhausting the system. Instead of a single intense workout, the body experiences repeated signals that reinforce metabolic flexibility, which is especially important as aging alters hormonal responsiveness. Beyond physiology, there is a psychological and philosophical layer to this movement. Rising from the ground requires patience, attention, and acceptance of the body's current limits. It is a practice of cooperation rather than domination. Elders who continue this movement are not proving strength, they are maintaining dialogue with gravity. The floor becomes familiar rather than threatening, and fear of falling diminishes because confidence is built through experience. In this way, strength is not merely preserved in muscle fibers, but woven into identity, reinforcing autonomy and calm through everyday motion. Slow, daily walking, when observed through a scientific lens, reveals itself as one of the most complete forms of biological regulation available to the aging human body. Unlike rapid or forced exercise, unhurried walking invites the nervous system into a state of cooperation rather than alarm. Each step sends sensory information from the soles of the feet to the brain, activating mechanoreceptors that help map the body's position in space. This constant feedback refines balance and coordination, which are not maintained by strength alone, but by the brain's ability to predict and adjust movement in real time. When walking becomes slow and mindful, these signals grow clearer, allowing the brain to recalibrate stability with each stride. At the muscular level, slow walking favors endurance fibers that support posture and joint alignment. These fibers are rich in mitochondria, the cellular structures responsible for energy production, and their stimulation improves the body's ability to use oxygen efficiently. Over time, this enhances circulation without placing excessive strain on the heart. Scientific studies consistently show that moderate, sustained movement improves endothelial function, allowing blood vessels to remain flexible and responsive. This flexibility reduces the burden on the cardiovascular system, which becomes increasingly sensitive to stress with age. There is also a powerful metabolic effect hidden within this simple movement. Slow walking encourages muscles to absorb glucose steadily, preventing spikes in blood sugar that contribute to inflammation and fatigue. This process does not rely on adrenaline or cortisol, the stress hormones often triggered by intense exercise. Instead, it operates through calm, repeated signals that improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level. The body learns to manage energy smoothly, supporting long-term metabolic health rather than short-lived performance gains. Equally important is the influence of walking on the brain. The rhythmic alternation of steps stimulates bilateral brain activity, enhancing communication between hemispheres. This rhythm has been shown to support cognitive clarity and emotional regulation. As breathing naturally synchronizes with movement, the parasympathetic nervous system becomes more active, lowering heart rate and reducing chronic stress. This shift is not dramatic, but it is deeply restorative. In biological terms, the body moves from a state of vigilance into one of repair. From a philosophical perspective, slow walking reflects a different relationship with time. It rejects urgency and invites presence. Elders who walk daily without haste are not exercising to achieve a goal, they are maintaining continuity with their environment. This consistency reinforces routine, which the aging brain relies on for emotional stability. Familiar paths, repeated motions, and predictable rhythms create a sense of safety that directly influences hormonal balance and immune function. What science continues to affirm is that walking is not merely locomotion, it is a full-body conversation between muscles, nerves, breath, and awareness. When practiced daily at a gentle pace, it becomes a form of biological reassurance, reminding the body that it is still capable, still adaptive, and still deeply connected to the ground beneath it. The human spine is not simply a column of bones. It is a living communication highway, and its health reflects how well the brain remains in dialogue with the rest of the body. Gentle daily movements that twist, bend, and lengthen the spine preserve this dialogue in ways that static posture never can. From a scientific perspective, spinal motion supports the flow of cerebrospinal fluid, the clear liquid that bathes the brain and spinal cord, delivering nutrients and removing metabolic waste. When the spine becomes rigid, this flow slows, subtly affecting cognitive clarity, reaction time, and nervous system efficiency. Small, regular movements help maintain this circulation without imposing stress. Each segment of the spine contains sensory receptors that inform the brain about position, tension, and balance. When elders rotate or flex their spine gently, these receptors remain active, preserving the brain's internal map of the body. This map is essential for coordinated movement and fall prevention. Loss of spinal mobility often leads to compensatory patterns elsewhere in the body, increasing strain on hips, knees, and shoulders. By keeping the spine supple, the body distributes mechanical load more evenly, reducing chronic pain and preserving functional independence. There is also a muscular dimension that deserves attention. Deep postural muscles surrounding the spine respond best to low-intensity, sustained movement rather than forceful contraction. These muscles stabilize the torso and protect the vertebrae, yet they weaken quickly when movement is avoided. Gentle spinal motion reawakens them, improving posture and breathing capacity. As the rib cage moves more freely, the lungs expand more completely, enhancing oxygen exchange and reducing fatigue during everyday activities. Neurologically, spinal movement has a calming effect. Twisting and bending stimulate the vagus nerve indirectly, which plays a central role in regulating heart rate, digestion, and emotional balance. This stimulation supports a shift toward parasympathetic dominance, allowing the body to recover more efficiently from stress. Over time, this reduces baseline muscle tension, which is often mistaken as a normal part of aging, but is largely a response to prolonged nervous system vigilance. On a deeper human level, spinal flexibility mirrors psychological flexibility. The spine allows us to turn toward what is behind us, bow forward in humility, and rise upright with dignity. When elders maintain spinal movement, they preserve not only physical range, but emotional adaptability. Fear of movement often leads to stiffness, and stiffness reinforces fear in a self-perpetuating loop. Gentle motion breaks this cycle by offering the body evidence that movement can still be safe and nourishing. Science increasingly recognizes that aging does not require rigidity. The tissues of the spine respond to consistent, respectful movement by maintaining hydration and elasticity. Connective tissue remodels itself according to use, and even in later years, it adapts when given regular signals. In this way, daily spinal motion becomes an act of ongoing communication between intention and biology, allowing the nervous system to remain fluent, the body to remain responsive, and movement to remain an expression of vitality rather than resistance. The hands are among the most neurologically rich structures in the human body, and their daily movement carries consequences far beyond simple grip strength. From a scientific perspective, a disproportionately large area of the brain's motor and sensory cortex is devoted to the fingers and hands. This means that even small, repetitive hand movements send powerful signals to the brain, reinforcing neural pathways that support coordination, memory, and adaptability. When elders continue to open and close their hands, rotate their wrists, and manipulate objects gently, they are actively engaging brain plasticity, the capacity of the nervous system to reorganize and maintain function with age. Fine motor movements stimulate sensory receptors in the skin, joints, and tendons, providing constant feedback to the brain. This feedback keeps neural circuits responsive and precise. Without it, the brain gradually reduces its investment in these pathways, leading to clumsiness and loss of dexterity. Scientific studies suggest that maintaining hand mobility supports not only physical independence, but also cognitive engagement, as the same neural networks involved in hand coordination overlap with those responsible for attention and problem solving. Movement, in this sense, becomes a form of neural nourishment. There is also a circulatory benefit that is often overlooked. The hands contain a dense network of blood vessels, and regular movement improves peripheral circulation. This helps maintain tissue health, temperature regulation, and sensation. In aging bodies, reduced blood flow to the extremities is common and contributes to stiffness and discomfort. Gentle hand exercises encourage vascular responsiveness without increasing cardiovascular strain, allowing the body to distribute blood more efficiently. From a functional standpoint, hand strength and coordination are central to autonomy. The ability to button clothing, prepare food, write, or hold a cup defines daily dignity. These actions rely less on raw force and more on controlled precision. When elders maintain hand movement, they preserve these abilities, not through effort, but through continuity. The nervous system thrives on repetition, and daily use reinforces the expectation of capability rather than decline. There is also an emotional dimension to hand movement. Hands are instruments of connection, expression, and creativity. They allow us to touch, to give, and to receive. Neuroscience recognizes that tactile input influences emotional regulation by activating pathways associated with safety and comfort. When elders move their hands intentionally, they reinforce a sense of presence and agency. This reduces anxiety and supports emotional stability, which in turn affects hormonal balance and immune function. On a philosophical level, maintaining hand mobility reflects respect for the subtleties of life. It acknowledges that health is not only about large muscles or visible strength, but about preserving the fine details that make living personal and meaningful. Science confirms that even in later years, neural pathways remain responsive when engaged regularly. The hands, through their quiet and continuous movement, remind the brain that interaction with the world is still possible, still welcome, and still worth sustaining through gentle, deliberate motion. Breathing is the only physiological process that operates both automatically and under conscious influence, which makes it a powerful gateway for regulating the aging body. When posture supports free movements of the diaphragm, breathing becomes efficient rather than effortful, and this efficiency sends calming signals throughout the nervous system. Scientific research shows that slow, nasal breathing increases carbon dioxide tolerance in the blood, improving oxygen delivery to tissues. This balance stabilizes heart rhythm and reduces unnecessary strain on the cardiovascular system, which becomes more sensitive with age. Posture plays a crucial role in this process. When the spine is upright and the rib cage is allowed to expand naturally, the diaphragm can descend fully. This movement gently massages internal organs, supporting digestion and lymphatic circulation. Slouched posture compresses this mechanism, leading to shallow breathing that activates stress responses, even in the absence of danger. Over time, chronic shallow breathing contributes to elevated cortisol levels, which accelerate cellular aging and impair immune resilience. By simply sitting or standing with relaxed alignment, elders create the physical conditions for calmer physiology. Breathing patterns are closely linked to the autonomic nervous system. Slow, controlled breaths stimulate the vagus nerve, shifting the body toward parasympathetic dominance. This state supports repair, hormonal balance, and metabolic efficiency. Heart rate variability, a marker of nervous system health, improves when breathing is steady and unforced. This improvement reflects greater adaptability to stress and a reduced risk of cardiovascular events. Importantly, these benefits emerge without exertion, making breath-based regulation accessible even to those with limited mobility. There is also a cognitive effect. Adequate oxygen delivery and reduced nervous system noise improve attention and emotional clarity. Elders who breathe slowly often report improved sleep quality and reduced anxiety. Science explains this through reduced activation of the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, allowing higher cortical functions to operate more smoothly. In this way, breathing becomes a tool for mental steadiness as much as physical health. From a biological perspective, breathing influences cellular aging. Chronic stress and poor oxygenation increase oxidative damage, which affects DNA integrity and tissue repair. Calm breathing reduces this burden by supporting efficient energy production within mitochondria. While breathing alone does not stop aging, it creates an internal environment where repair processes can function more effectively. On a human level, posture-supported breathing reflects a relationship with life itself. Upright alignment conveys readiness without tension, and steady breathing communicates safety to the body. Elders who maintain this practice are not striving for control, but cultivating awareness. Science increasingly recognizes that awareness itself alters physiology. Through simple breathing paired with gentle posture, the body receives repeated reassurance that it is supported, regulated, and still capable of maintaining balance in the rhythms of daily life.